Welcome to more Fanime. What's up, everybody? Today I'm gonna be reviewing chapter 194 of the One Piece manga. Oh yeah, it just, and I mean just dropped. The fan translation. First off, if you want to wait for the Shonen Jump official release this Sunday, do it. Spoiler warning. I just could not wait, especially when I heard we were finally going to see what these Gorosei, these five elders, at least one of them, Mr. Saturn, what he could do. And I tip my hat to you, sir, because wow. One Piece took a turn this week, people. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend you go fucking read it before I spoil the fuck out of it. One Piece 1094 is a shocker, to say the least. I'm very excited to talk about this. It kicks off where it left off in 1093. We aren't jumping around anymore. We are sticking around at Egghead Island. We see Atlas, officially telling the pacifistas, it's time, turn on the Marines again. I swear, I really hope that this last turn in this chapter is it. No more flippy-floppy pacifistas. But also, Vegapunk should have had some kind of kill switch for these guys if they ever became an issue. So maybe we'll find out that in the future. I'm not really sure. But the pacifistas, after Atlas requests that they purge these Marines off this island, yes, they do. They start firing laser beams at them, and they're like, "Oh shit, the pacifistas have turned." And remember, these are the Mark IIIs, so it probably would take a vice admiral to take one of them down. Luckily, there's at least 9 of those on the island right now, and of course, our main admiral boy Borsalino up there fighting Luffy, but he's busy. He's a busy dude. But this chapter really highlights Bonnie, of all people, and it gives Sanji a major moment as well. So Bonnie's finally discovered by the Marines and the Vice Admirals and whatnot, but she noticed that the pacifistas have turned and they're back on her side. And she's like, okay, this is my opportunity. Let's do this. There's some glorious action shots, and I mean glorious action shots of Bonnie just kicking some names, taking some ass, just doing the best she can do. I couldn't believe how badass Bonnie was. For a while there, I was like, is she just some helpless damsel in distress? Not really. I mean, if she's taken on a rear admiral or less, I think she can handle herself. She pulls out a new move with a gun. I'm not sure if the gun is like part of her powers, or is it tangible? Is it a real gun that she's just like putting her de-aging goo into, and she's firing at these people, kind of like Mr. 5 back in Alabasta. Well, I guess it was more Little Garden, but he had a gun, a revolver that he could put his breath into and fire breath bombs, or breath explosions, and maybe the same's going on here. Maybe all Bonnie needs to do is like spit in this gun and hit the Marines with it dead center, and she has this new attack that we've never seen before. I believe it's called... I got it right here. I might as well just look, right? Yeah, let's just take a peek. Near-death experience. And it's pretty badass. It hits the Marines dead center on the skull. And they have flashes in their head. It looks like it's inside their head. They're thinking, oh God, they're seeing themselves die, essentially, and their bodies rot away into skeletons. And then it flashes to them still being alive, going, I saw hell. And they start collapsing out of just pure anguish. It's almost, it's kind of like... is it Tsukuyomi, the attack that Itachi uses, where he just tortures somebody? That's how I like to imagine this weapon. I think that these Marines, feel like they were just aged and died right then and there, or they just saw a version of their future where they die and their body rots away, which is equally as scary. I mean, these Marines don't like that. She's doing her absolute best. Luckily for her, Sanji, our boy, is on his way to do what Sanji does, and that's show up at the very last second to save the fucking day, especially if it's a damsel in distress. He's riding along the Vega tank saying, my female senses are tingling, and Bonnie's over there, and we see Bonnie about to get exploded by a pacifista, and I know what you're thinking. You're like, pacifista? I thought they turned, and they're on her side now. No! Apparently, one of the vice admirals, the little old lady named Bluegrass, I'd like to say her name was, she has the stick fruit, or the driving fruit, drive fruit. She can essentially ride anything, and I mean anything. She can ride anything and control it, even a cybernetic being like a pacifista Mark III, and even fire its lasers. And you know, Bonnie has that PTSD moment once again, seeing her papa, her daddy, pacifista daddy clone, and she's like, oh no. What do I do? And she just stands there all frozen. But luckily, Sanji jumps in at the very last second, pulls her out of the way, and she's like, oh God, Cook? Fucking Blackleg? What are you doing here? Remember a couple of chapters ago, she was complimenting Sanji on being badass in combat and a really great cook. And now he's here saving her life? Are we shipping Bonnie and Sanji now? Not if she turns out to be a 10-year-old. But, I mean, there was a lot of risque shots of Bonnie in this chapter alone, not even speaking of the stuff from before. And if we find out that she's a toddler, or 10 or 13 or something, it's going to be kind of weird, Oda. Just saying. But he saves her, and he's, like, lecturing her, like, I know that Kuma was your dad, but if you don't get your shit together, you're going to die. But before he can finish his sentence, the pacifistas, you know, a vice admiral comes at him with a big hammer thing, and he dodges out of the way, and he's holding her in his arms like, actually, let's just run. Let's just get out of here. And they start taking off. Now it's time to get the heck out of Dodge. Now they got Bonnie in safety. We see flashes of Borsalino and Luffy, what's his name? Lucci and Zoro still in combat, but they sense something. You know, they sense something weird going on. Their spider senses are tingling. And I'm not too far off by saying spider senses. They see some crazy pentagram forming in the ground, possibly on fire. Some kind of devil summoning thing. And, you know, Borsalino's like, you know, man, I can't stay around here messing with you, Luffy, or Nika, whatever you want to be called. I gotta go take care of my job. I gotta take care of Vegapunk. And Luffy's basically like, well, my job is to keep you distracted. But he uses his light speed and zips away, and Luffy's like, hey, get back here, you bitch. And so Luffy's following him. We don't get to see a lot of Zoro and Lucci, sadly, just them reacting. It would be nice. I really hope. I'm going to be so sad, and I feel like it's going to happen. We're not going to get a full-on Lucci versus Zoro fight in the manga. We might be lucky if we get a half an episode in the anime, if they decide to expand upon it, and I really hope they do, because that was going to be fun. That was going to be a fun fight. A more grounded fight than a fucking god Nika versus Kizaru light show, which was also very fun. Don't get me wrong, but a more serious tone between two serious men duking it out. We don't even get to see Robin, Tony Chopper. We don't get to see what Kaku's doing inside that bubble. I mean, there's so many characters right now Oda's got to juggle. Like, where do I find time for them? But still, I want to see Zoro and Lucci, damn it. If it's going to happen, don't tease us. Don't even tease us with the fight, Oda. Like, why even have Lucci turn again and join, you know, not realign, but still confirm that he is part of the government and have him fight, you know, try to kill Vegapunk? What was the point of that if we're not going to see any of it in the manga? I really hope that Oda's not doing this thing where he's like, well, the anime needs some filler. So I'll just show that the fight happened in the background, and they can just make an entire episode about those characters fighting. I don't want that. I want to be able to read the manga and still feel the same. You know, I want the manga to be the superior version of this story, because more than likely, when I go back and repeat it, I'm going to watch the anime, of course. But I'm going to want to read it. I can read it anywhere. I can read it on the train. I can read it on a plane. I can read it not while driving, but maybe in the back seat. You know, I can read it anywhere. And I want to read these battles like we did in the pre-time skip. The battles were well detailed. It was. I mean, the anime's always added a little pizzazz to it, but don't just cut it out completely. Kind of like with Law and Blackbeard, where we barely got a taste of that fight. And I just want more. I want more, Oda. Give me 2 chapters a week, or longer chapters, damn it. So Luffy's chasing Kizaru. Kizaru finally gets his pinpoint laser beam ready to shoot out at Vegapunk, but before he can fire, he sees Luffy, and even Frankie's like, Luffy, you need to do something, brother, because we're about to get hit by some crazy laser beam. Come on, dog, do something. And Luffy's panting. Luffy's tired. Luffy's used up all the Nika sun god power he has. I remember what happened last time when he fought Lucci. He like got old and shriveled up and tired. So that might happen again, and Luffy might be off the proverbial chessboard if we don't do something. He's about to fire the laser, but he tends to fire it at Luffy. Luffy dodges and does a crazy Tasmanian devil spin, launches his rubber super punchy star gum Nika Dawn fist into the side of Kizaru's head. Yeah, just like he did with Kaido, but he like turned Kizaru's head into rubber, and so you could see Luffy's fist coming out the other side, but not like breaking through his, skull or anything. It almost looks like Kizaru took somewhat of a knockout blow. I would not be shocked if Luffy does go down, by the way. Luffy's like, I've used up all my power, I need a rest, and Luffy starts transforming back. He might get one last little boost, but he's about off the chessboard. He's about done. But that last punch that he dead center to the temple, to the brain hole of Kizaru might actually take the guy down. And if he, at the very least, took Kizaru off the board, oh yeah, our guys have a chance. So as that's happening, a fucking, devil freaking pentagram comes up, and out of the pentagram is Saint Garcia's Saturn, but he's all like awakened mythical devil fruit form. I don't know if it's considered a zone. It must be a zone because he's all transformation-wise, but he almost looks like Krampus, but with like spider legs and a big-ass bushy beard, and he's looking at everybody, and he even announces to the pacifistas, stop! And all the pacifistas just stop in place, and the Marines announce to their squadron, like, hey, Saint Garcia Saturn of the Gorosei is about to show his ass up. If you're not a high-ranked Marine, you are not allowed to look. Do not look at Garcia Saturn. But we get to see some looky-loos. Hey, and they see this spider ogre fucking bull thing, Krampus, come out of the ground, and 2 of the looky-loos that aren't strong enough to handle the hockey or something, or maybe he just doesn't like to be looked at when he's in this form, they look at him, and his head explodes. From what it looks like, if you look at this demon of a man, Saint Garcia Saturn, and you're not strong enough, not enough willpower, not enough hockey ability, your head will explode. And it is confusing. It might not be that, because, Vegapunk's looking right at him. And I don't think Vegapunk's a skilled hockey user, so I don't know if it has anything to do with that. But maybe if you're just weak-willed, you just blow your fucking head up. This guy's head exploded. And that's some of the darkest shit I've seen in One Piece in a long time. Since the live action when Zoro cut that dude in half. But just looking at this monster. This is a monster. If all the Gorosei have transformations like this, I hope they're a little bit more variety than just demons. But man, Oda's been saving this. I feel like he's had this transformation ready since he debuted the Gorosei in the actual manga, and it's no joke. It's getting serious, and I think a lot of people thought, with Nika, all the fights might be too goofified, but with this demon, with this hellspawn here, oh no. And he's there, and he's attacking. Sanji's just helping, trying to keep Bonnie away from it. Frankie's trying to protect Vegapunk. Luckily, he's there. Maybe Frankie's going to get his moment. I don't think he's going to die or anything, but he might get a major moment. This might be a battle of the remaining Straw Hats that aren't busy, or hurt Robin, or busy Zoro, right? Or Luffy's down. So, like, the remaining Straw Hats, Jinbei, Sanji, Frankie, Chopper might be busy dealing with Robin, and Kaku, so it might just be them. And Nami might be able to jump in there with Usopp as support. I could see them as a five-way group, 5 or 6 person group, jumping in as a squad, just like they did with Oars, and taking this guy on. Because at the end of this chapter, I might as well finish this review. Bonnie notices this creature, Saturn, hears his name, something, and it reminds her of something that she saw in Kuma's memories. And I'm starting to think that Kuma's going to show up at the very last second and save the fucking day. I do. I think he's going to show up at chapter 1100, 1100, and do a crazy Majin Vegeta self-destruct scenario, and everybody else escapes. That's just my prediction. We'll see. Especially since Bonnie is in such danger. But Bonnie's pissed. Bonnie picks up a sword, and she goes to murder this thing, and jumps up in the air, jumps out of Sanji's arms, and Sanji's like, Bonnie-kun, no! And, she's pissed. She's crying. There's some emotional damage here. She originally wanted to off Vegapunk, but I think she's learned the real enemy are the Gorosei and Emu. And maybe Saturn, in particular, might have been the one that called the order to turn turn Kuma into a mindless being. Not like Vegapunk had to listen anyway, but he did, and I guess Kuma agreed to it, but still, the order might have come down from Saturn himself, and that might be why Bonnie's acting a little ridiculous right now, charging head first. But, back to my other point, we get Sanji, the protector, the man, the myth, the legend. We got Frankie right there, dead center. We got Jinbei on his way, hopefully. Those 3 alone should be able to handle this. I can't imagine that this demon that has abilities that we don't know yet, like blowing up fucking heads, I can't imagine that he's much stronger than a admiral. I would say probably on the same level, but with crazy powers, I guess. At least on that same level as Kizaru, I would say. Maybe a little stronger. It'd be really great, because right now, I feel like Luffy and Zoro are just outclassing the rest of the squad. Maybe Sanji, because he's got his new Germa upgrades of very durable. He's very durable, durability. But maybe a group fight here. Maybe Zoro hops in too after taking out Kizaru, or not Kizaru, after taking out Lucci, or at least doing something. Or maybe Lucci realizes, I'm working for that thing? No, I'll go back to your side. I don't want to be associated with that old guy. Remember, Kizaru works directly with the Gorosei, I believe. Or just directly with the Celestial Dragons. But he definitely has conversations with them. So he knows what's going on. I don't know if he knows about the transformations. But let's say that we do get a full chapter next week of Zoro beating Lucci down. Zoro, he's going to be hurt. He's going to be hurting. He's going to be tired, but he's still going to have a lot of energy. And then meanwhile, you got Sanji leading the charge with Jinbei and Frankie, and assists by Usopp and Nami, taking down this beast. Because someone's got to do it. And then Zoro jumps in, and we show that the crew is capable of handling themselves without Luffy. If Luffy's off the board, if Luffy has to get some doctrine by Chopper, that's fine. Everybody's got a role, and if Chopper doesn't get involved in the fight, fine. If he does, and then he leaves Robin to watch Kaku, that's fine too. Monster Point, bring that in. Then you got an ace in the hole. Then you got another force of nature coming in to fight St. Garcia Saturn, who just looks crazy. Look up that design. It's crazy. I've never seen a creature like this before. Yeah, I know it's some kind of Japanese lore demon, and I have a feeling there's going to probably at least be one more demon in the squad of the Gorosei, but I hope they're not all demons. Maybe they are. Maybe they'll combine to one super demon. I'm not sure, but this is just a taste. This is the one that Oda wanted us to see first. There's got to be a reason. The major event needs to happen. I was thinking this week, what's the big major event? I know that the crew is currently surrounded. A lot of the Marines are a little busy not looking at St. Garcia Saturn at least, but still, there's a lot of enemies that are on the shoreline. So, I was thinking, wouldn't it be interesting if the Straw Hat Fleet show up at the very last minute to even the odds? I mean, there's like 5,000 of them, and there's like a lot of Marines, but maybe that would be sick. Could you imagine if Bartolomeo leading the squad of everybody has united and got back together during this time while they've been on Egghead Island? I know it's only been like 48 hours since the newspaper revealed that, maybe even 24, so it might not be enough time. It'd probably take at least a couple days. If it was a week or so later, I could see it happening. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might not happen. But God, it would be so cool if there was some way that the Straw Hat Fleet could show up and save the day. Another option of escape, what if we include Rouge, or what's his name? Rouge, the final fucking supernova that we haven't got to see anything. He can come down from the heavens with his sky people and bring everybody up to get away. That's another option. But we got to get to El Baf, baby. So I'm going to go back to my original prediction. Kuma shows up. Touching moment with Bonnie. But I think that we need to have an actual fight here. We have a few chapters till a chapter 1100. So until then, we have St. Garcia Saturn take on the Straw Hat crew minus Luffy and Robin because they're tired or hurt. So the Straw Hat crew team up like against oars and they do combo moves. That's the kind of thing I want. I just want this. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's probably not. There's a good chance the Straw Hat crew just gets one shot by this thing because they're just not going to be built that way. Oda might just not give them enough. Oda's so good at developing the Straw Hats. He just hasn't given them a lot of their time since they've been dealing with Wano and all that shit. Sanji's gotten a lot of time, and Zoro's gotten a lot of time. But it's time for everybody else to get a little boost. What do you guys think? What did you guys think of chapter 1094? I fucking loved it. I really did. Like, this might be my second favorite chapter after last week's chapter where Kizaru got to show off. I really do think Kizaru could be knocked out. After that punch, he looked a little woozy. That was a kill blow. There was a reason Oda wrote that punch in the one last attack to weaken Kizaru so that he can be taken care of, or he's down for the count now. And maybe St. Garcia Saturn sees that as a failure and kills an unconscious Kizaru, and maybe that's when Lucci decides to turn. He's like, whoa, if an admiral can just be thrown away like that, I don't want to be part of this no more. We'll have to see. I can't imagine somebody as sweet as Kaku wanting to work for that guy. Stussy hasn't really done anything, so maybe she can join in the battle, but it's going to take an army to take this creature down. It's no joke. For a while there, I was thinking, it'd be nice if maybe the Gorosei aren't fighters. They're just old and have a lot of power. But now we see that they are deadly and can blow people up just by looking at them. Their brains everywhere. It's pretty intense. I can't wait to see this demon summoning in the anime. Can you imagine the crazy effects they're going to do for this? It's going to be some crazy, like, Attack on Titan monster scene of epicness. Oh my goodness. This creature has blown me away. It really has. This Gorosei has impressed me. For a while there, I just did not give a shit about St. Garcia Saturn or the rest of them sitting in their damn chairs. But now I see that they are a threat. Do I still prefer villains like Lucci and Kizaru? Yes. But, they don't bring this kind of heat like this thing does, this new villain. I kind of hope that Kizaru's knocked out if we're going to be dealing with this monster. So maybe the big event that's supposed to happen that, they've been teasing for a hot minute that's going to happen at Egghead Island, maybe it is the Straw Hat Fleet showing up and taking down the Marines. Maybe it's the Straw Hat crew taking down Agorasei. That would shock the world. There's enough Marines there for the story to get out. We know that Vivi and the Big News Morgan are listening in. So Vivi joining the crew soon. That needs to happen. Kuma's coming. Iron Giant's awakening. I want to see what's going on with the Blackbeard pirates. I think they're going to kidnap one of the Vegapunks so they have their own smart person because they're just following along and they want to have a piece, just like collecting the poneglyphs. Now Blackbeard's like, get me one of them Vegapunks. They seem popular, They can't cost that much, right? It's like a Nintendo Switch when it first came out. Nobody could get them, or the Wii, and they had to get there before everybody else gets one. And one's been destroyed. One or two of them have been destroyed. So Blackbeard needs to grab himself a Vegapunk. I feel like the world government's going to get a Vegapunk. Blackbeard's going to get a Vegapunk. The Straw Hat Crew's going to get the original Vegapunk, and possibly Lilith. So maybe two, so they'll at least have the advantage there, because two is always better than one. This is more Fanime. Don't forget to comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you later.